Welcome back. Here in Massachusetts, most people associate donuts with Dunkin's, which began at a coffee shop in Quincy back in the 1940s. But on the West Coast, donut shops are largely associated with the Cambodian community. The sweet, airy, and light treats are at the center of a new children's book called A Dozen Delicious Donuts by Lowell-raised author Chanda Oak Wolf, who joins us today in the studio. Hi.
Hi, Karen. How are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
So this book isn't just about Nam Kong. Let me get the pronunciation correct. Is that right?
Nam Kong.
Nam Kong or donuts. It's also about culture and family. Tell us a little bit about the story.
So the story itself is about a grandmother and a granddaughter. And the granddaughter is going to a bake-off, and she uses this recipe that is from her grandmother's journey to America, the one thing that she was able to save from a tragedy that had occurred in her past. And so using this recipe, she is aware that it's different, that it's new, and that it may not go as well as she expects.
And the recipe is to make what we think of as donuts.
Yes.
Okay. So tell us about how your family and your upbringing led you to even write the book in the first place.
So both of my parents are survivors of the killing fields. That's the Cambodian genocide that occurred from 1975 to 1979. And I wanted to use this opportunity to really highlight the Cambodian American experience here, their story, and being here for, I think, close to now, for 40 plus years, there hasn't been a story, a children's book story that truly captures the essence of the Cambodian American experience. And so I wanted to focus on how we can better educate the communities where Lowell has the second biggest Cambodian American population in the United States, outside of Long Beach, California being the first. And so I think this was more a realization that we need something to help communities understand Cambodians living here in America. And also, it's important to be visible.
Sure.
And included in children's literature.
And you weave that history and that understanding and that acknowledgement through the book. There's a moment in the book when the character Pip really isn't feeling good about her baking skills. How does that relate to your experience growing up?
Well, I think the feeling sometimes can manifest into an identity crisis and somewhat of shame and guilt for feeling certain feelings. And I really wanted to focus on, you know, there's so much beauty in cultural preservation. There's so much, I think, integrity in finding your true self. And so here, I think when Pip is questioning herself in some ways, it's a moment of realization of true self-reflection.
Self-reflection and find some inner strength to keep moving. You had a book reading event at Pollard Memorial Library in Lowell alongside UMass President Marty Meehan, State Representative Vanna Howard, and Gerard Leon. Not your typical guests for a children's book reading. What was the significance of these guests, and why was it important for you to have them there?
So the background behind having these three individuals, it's significant. In the early 80s and 90s, the transition of this newer wave of Cambodians arrived, and there was a lot of violence. And the DA at the time was Tom Riley. And UMass President Marty Meehan at the time was part of the DA's office, and also Jerry was part of the DA's office, and they had worked to really help transition the community from violence to more figuring out how we can work together to help this population that was in need of resources and not being put into the prison pipeline.
Wow. Okay, so kind of a full circle moment, having them there to celebrate. with you. What does this book mean to your children, and what do you hope other Cambodian American children will see for themselves in the pages of this book? It's beautifully illustrated.
Well, I hope that they find healing in reading this book, and that there is so much beauty in yourself, and that you yourself can only be yourself. Mm-hmm. And so I'm hopeful that they also believe there's an opportunity to be a writer in the future, something that oftentimes is neglected. And so many wishes for the future.
We have about 30 seconds left. Can you give me a quick story about how the Cambodians own the donut market out on the West Coast? Very quick.
So quickly, in the 80s, there was a donut king. He was a refugee in Cambodia, came to the United States. Winchell Donuts was having programs to help people learn how to make donuts. He realized he could make donuts and started his own donut shop, and then it kind of snowball effect. Mm-hmm. Helped many newer immigrants come and own their own donut shops. Yeah. And now it's over 1,500 Cambodian-owned donut shops in Southern California.
What's different about the Cambodian donuts?
What's different?
Yeah.
I'd say there's something so unique and special about the touch of a Cambodian donut that when someone asks you, would you prefer Dunkin' Donuts or Krispy Kremes? I would say, if it hasn't been touched by a Cambodian American, I'm not eating it.
It's lighter, airier?
Lighter, airier. The texture is a little different. Cambodian donuts are different donuts than the donuts that Cambodian-owned donut shops make. But I think there's special, I'd say, touch. Okay.
All right. Next time I'm in California, I'm going to look for a Cambodian donut shop and do a taste test myself.
That sounds perfect.
Okay. Chanda, thank you so much for sharing. A dozen delicious donuts is available online and in stores now.